go across to former Chief of Army Staff, General JJ Singh, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for giving us your time, sir. Your response to what we are witnessing in the country at this point of time, the concerns that are being shared by some protesters, the violence and vandalism that is being witnessed, and the outreach by the government. What do you think is happening?
Firstly, I feel that a new idea, a new scheme is generally resisted by most conventional and traditional organizations, and also the people, because the youth have not understood the scheme. They have been misled by certain political parties, I would say, and also by leaders who want to create mayhem. Basically, the scheme, when it is properly understood by them, will result in their understanding that they will gain by many ways rather than be without a job. And I would say that this scheme has been thought through for last 2.5 or 3 years, and it has come with certain conditionalities that there can be changes based on the recommendations of the Raksha Mantri and the service chiefs. For example, 25% could be made into 30%. So 30% could get the merit-based selection for longer service. The other people who are not given, shall we say, an extension, who are made to retire, will be given preference to join into paramilitary forces. The Home Minister has assured the people. Thirdly, that they will be given a university degree from Indira Gandhi National Open University. So therefore, besides that, I would say even MBA graduates are not getting 30,000, 35,000 a month. So these boys will be getting that. Plus, if they go into Kashmir operational area or Northeast, will get another 10, 15,000, out of which they will be spending very little. Also, they will get 2.5 months leave, free food, clothing, and other perks. So they can save out of their salary easily about 20,000 to 30,000 per month. And in 4 years, that is about 12 lakhs. Plus, they'll get a 12 lakhs benefit of their savings, plus the government's, shall we say, also government chipping in 50% of that. So they get 24 lakhs. Well, I would say for a young man who doesn't want to serve in the army anymore, well, he can start a fresh life at the age of 24, 25. And
so
I think
you're saying it's a win-win situation. Well, in that case, my question is, are only provocative statements and misinformation campaign really fueling the fire, what we are witnessing, or is there a communication gap as well?
Well, I think things could have been handled slightly differently, and people would have been able to understand, and also the people's representatives should have been able to tell their constituencies that this scheme in the long run will be good for our country and good for the young men of this country. Now that also needs to be taken on a stronger footing. That means that we must reach out and explain the benefits of this scheme to the youth, and they should not get carried away by not understanding. जैसे आप कहते हैं अनजान लोग हैं, and they are being misguided. So with the result, they have landed up in this kind of arson. I want to, through your medium, like to tell the young people of India that we will not accept people who are doing this kind of riots and arson and taking law into their own hands, because in the army it's never accepted. It's a court-martial offense. So they must understand, boys who are leading these movements will probably not be selected by us because the selection process will be very strict.
Right. Now, one concern that the aspirants are sharing, and the political parties as well, is the 4-year duration that has been spoken about in the Agnipath scheme. The opposition believes since only 25% are going to be retained, 75% will go back to the markets, job markets, as unemployed. So there's no security, safety, guarantee of future. They're calling it a part-time job. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think the government has already mentioned they will be given preference and priority for lateral induction into CRP, BSF, ITBP, and Assam Rifles. Besides that, they will be given preference and priority for probably the PSU units. Public sector units also employ a lot of people, railways, post and telegraph. There's so many government organizations where they will be given, and most importantly, each one of them will carry a badge of honor, a badge of Agniveer. Everyone will be able to be proudly saying that he's an Agniveer, and they may be given more privileges by the government. It is in the hands of the government to make it more attractive. इसको और आकर्षक करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट के पास बहुत तरीके हैं और वो किए जाएंगे, मुझे कोई शक नहीं। और कोई जो लोग टिप्पणी करते हैं, those who criticize that young people, inexperienced people will be a liability in war, let me tell them all, many of us, including me, were commissioned at the age of 19 years. We went into NDA at 15 years, and we were straight put into battle. 65 war was there. Many of us sacrificed our lives. Many of them were great war heroes. So I think this is a fallacy कि ये नौजवान जो हैं inexperienced हैं, there will be a liability, the army's fighting power will come down. That's rubbish. And I feel if you go by our historical record, in 65 war, Albert Eka was a lance naik. He must be about 25. And in Second World War, my regiment had a Victoria Cross who was only a Sepoy, Namdev Jadhav. I'm from the Maratha Light Infantry. What I'm trying to tell you is there are so many naysayers जो हमेशा नुक्ताचीनी देखते हैं, negative aspects से देखते हैं. They are not objective. I feel given a proper handling of this new initiative, it will benefit the armed forces. And let's not forget, modernization will get a boost. We will get the modern equipment and weapons which we will be using to win the wars in future. And thirdly, the youth which will join us will be more tech savvy. They will be more IT capable than the present soldiers who have joined earlier. So I'm looking forward to this scheme working out very well with the support of the government and the leadership of the armed forces.
Okay, very quickly, sir, your response to what some critics have been saying. This is to reduce the pension burden, but this will only increase expenditure, and the kind of camaraderie and companionship that is built between, a unit takes a really long time. So if people come and go in 4 years, how will you have a bond?
Well, listen, I want to mention to you, I have been to one of my own regimental centers. There is no soldiers to be trained. So therefore, where is the question of extra expenditure? There are officers, JCOs, men, instructors waiting to train these young people. So there will be no problem, no extra expenditure in training them. And we are inducting them 40 to 50,000 a year, or in 6 months, maybe 1 lakh a year. Gradually, they will join the 1.5 million armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force. I think we will be able to absorb them very well.
Okay.
Some of them may turn out to be real heroes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So you're saying it is a win-win situation. Let the scheme start. Changes can be made along the way if need be. Thank you very much for giving us your time and for putting things into perspective. With that, we're slipping into a very short